Hi, and welcome to the Views from the Valley, your roundup of the news here in the United States, coming to you from the v3.co.uk offices in San Francisco. With me as ever, Shaun Nichols. Hi, Shaun.
Hi, Iain.
Right, okay, well, busy week. We've got some interesting news coming up later, but first, really the management kerfuffle of the day. Now, I know you've written one story about this, and we're considering writing two. Mark Hurd and the shenanigans at HP. Fill us in with what's the current update.
Well, let's see. Over the weekend, over the U.S. holiday weekend here, it was announced that Mark Hurd was joining Oracle as its president. I believe he's also as a member of the board of directors. Which is interesting because after Hurd was let go from HP, Larry Ellison was probably one of his most vocal defenders.
And he was firing off emails left, right, and centre, just like, this is terrible, just because a man happens to have,
Yeah. Larry's got his own reputation.
I was going to say, how often has he been married? 3 times, 4 times? No, not that we would cast aspersions, of course, but yes, interesting. So, what's the situation now? He's announced that he's going to Oracle.
Yeah, and HP has already filed an injunction against Hurd, basically saying that he knows so many of HP's kind of trade secrets, and so many of its operation, knows so much about the company that it's virtually impossible for him to do his job at Oracle without disclosing HP's trade secrets and possibly causing damage to the company.
Well, I mean, we've actually got the court filing online, and if you read through it, they've got a point. He wrote their business plan for this year and next year. He's key to their strategic thinking. The idea that he could just waltz off and go and work for a competitor, you wonder what he was thinking.
No, it's interesting, and I think Larry Ellison's response to this is also very interesting.
That's right, because we got a statement through about an hour ago.
It's actually just kind of breaking news, but basically said that we might just have to pull all of our business with HP now because of this, and basically this is going to make it impossible for our two companies to do any business together. So it's something we're going to try and work the phones on this and get some comment as to whether this is just Larry being, trying to call their bluff, or...
It's a little like, sort of a mafia guy coming round offering you fire insurance and then sort of ostentatiously lighting a cigar with a lit match going, very flammable place you've got here, it's just like, what were they thinking? I mean, if a senior Oracle exec went off and joined a direct competitor a couple of weeks later, the screams you would hear from Ellison would sort of set off fire alarms here in the city. It's a very bizarre set of circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things right now where it's developing right before us, so it's kind of hard to step back and take a look at it right away. But this is sort of a very, I'd say, surreal in some ways. The way things are turning out right now.
Hey, if they get away with it, it's going to completely change the recruitment strategy of many major companies. But yeah, I see a long problem kicking off with this. I mean, basically, the only way they're going to do this is if he gives some kind of memorandum of understanding that he will excuse himself of certain roles. But he's the president of Oracle. He's going to spend more time out at board meetings than he is going to spend in.
Well, yeah, and that also makes you wonder what Charles Phillips, the former president of Oracle, is going to be doing. I don't know if he's still with the company.
His name has come up as a possible successor to Hurd at HP. Now, that really would be ironic if the two swap round. But...
Well, yeah, I guess nobody really have the high ground in that sense. They both just might have to...
Yes, come to an arrangement of some sort. Well, we'll keep an eye on that one because very much a breaking news story. But in keeping with the themes of sort of IT careers and skills, Gordon Brown, ex-Prime Minister of the UK, has become a board member of the World Wide Web Foundation. I have to say, Gordon Brown and Internet were never things that I really sort of took too seriously together. He's never come across as the most tech-savvy sort of people. But, I mean, does the World Wide Web Foundation actually make that much of a difference? Is one person at his appointment going to really sort of muck things up?
Well, no, and that's an interesting argument. Is he might not be the most tech-savvy guy, but as far as maybe from a diplomatic sense,
some diplomats who might spit their coffee out at that.
Yeah.
But I take your point. I mean, he's got high-level contacts. He's used to dealing with certain people, and Tim Berners-Lee is a friend, apparently. I have to say the timing of this is very interesting. When Tony Blair, the Prime Minister before Brown, brought out his autobiography last week, which was full of how Brown had zero emotional intelligence and he was a firebrand and that sort of thing. And a day later, Gordon announces that he's been appointed to the World Wide Web Board, which is an honorary position, no funds required. He's joined another couple of charitable foundations, again, not getting paid for it. And this, I think, portrays him very nicely against Tony Blair, who's been paid millions upon millions for giving speeches about how the Iraq War wasn't his fault and other things. So yeah, okay, well, we'll see how well Gordon Brown does there, but got my doubts on that one. Now, the other big piece of news, you were actually covering, as it happened, the Apple announcements.
Yes, Apple had their annual, I guess you'd say, iPhone...
Summer barbecue and fate.
Yeah, iTunes update event, that sort of thing. And there were some fairly cool new products released. First off, you have the iOS 4.1.
Yeah.
As well as a new version of iTunes, which adds something called Ping, which is essentially a social networking and kind of sharing feature for iTunes. Pretty standard stuff, recommend purchases.
Spammers have already moved into it, as I understand.
Well, yeah, that should have been expected.
Well, you'd think, but this is Apple.
So yeah, it's interesting. The other thing that I thought was really cool was the new iPod line.
Right. Yes.
iPod Shuffle kind of went back to the old model as far as the little rectangle with the click wheel. iPod Touch got the Retina display as well as a HD video camera on the back. Yeah,
that's a big improvement on the Touch. I thought they were going to shut the Touch line down, but what they've actually done is turn it into something you might want to use on occasion.
If you want, and so kind of what Steve Jobs said, and I'm sure the telco partners were thrilled by this, but it's pretty much now it's an iPhone without the contract, without the iPhone contract.
And of course you can use the Wi-Fi for the FaceTime video conferencing.
Exactly, yeah, it's another big one, video conferencing. The other one I think didn't get a whole lot of play, was really cool, was the Nano. They got rid of the click wheel, the scroll wheel, and it's basically just a little square display now, a little touch screen, and...
I've got to say I prefer the old ones. But that's just me. I'm very much a sort of a design classic person rather than a...
Well, you use an iPod Touch, though. I mean, you're not really unfamiliar with that.
Okay. I have used an iPod Touch, I should say, but it was a gift. I didn't spend money on it. No, I can say it would work quite well. I mean, I have to say the classic Nano design I thought was, in its last iteration, was pretty much perfection. But yeah, we'll see how this develops. I mean, obviously it was a bit consumery, but Apple is now pretty much a consumer company, but it's nice to see they're actually refreshing the iPod lines. We're expecting more Apple announcements as they come on. They tend to be done on fairly short notice. But Google is holding a short notice press conference tomorrow. And many of you visiting the site today must have been a little mystified by the sketch at the top of the homepage. Now, Google does a lot of these. It's done thousands of them, celebrate public holidays, anniversaries, scientific achievement, some really off-the-wall ones. This is the first one they've done where you can't hover the cursor over the logo and find out what it's for, partly because the logo seems to tactically repel the mouse button. Give it a try, it's great fun. But nobody knows what it's about, and Google are being deliberately obtuse about this. I've spoken to spokespeople today twice and got nowhere with them in terms of, oh, come on, just tell us what it's about, and they're just not going for it. I think it's a 12-year birthday, but with a press conference tomorrow in which it's rumoured we've got some new streaming search capabilities coming onto the site, I'm not so sure. I mean, they've never actually had a birthday celebration as far as I can tell.
I'm sure they've had events at their campus and that sort of thing.
But
I don't recall doing, having big press conferences or big product announcements to coincide with that. So that makes me think that there would be some significant news that's about to break as far as Google is concerned. They've kind of almost become an Apple Junior, I guess, in their ability to control the release of data.
Nobody does it quite like Apple is.
No, nobody does it nearly on the level, and Google blogs and lets their employees talk a whole lot more than Apple and a lot of other companies do too. But as far as releasing data, releasing information when they want it out on their terms, they're very good about that. So this wouldn't surprise me. This is something that kind of maybe not came completely out of left field, but...
it's certainly got a lot of people in the Valley talking, though, so we'll have to see. Well, 9:30 tomorrow, I'll be down at the press conference with a video camera, so hopefully we can get you some footage from there. But in the meantime, you can read more about these stories and other at www.v3.co.uk.